Hey guys, thank you back for another exciting episode of YOML. Today we want to conclude the part two of Marie Kondo organizations techniques. Let's see if I can have a change of heart today.
Fair enough. I actually think that you had a really good insight about dramatic change versus lasting change. And I think that matters a lot. That's what we're talking about is living a lifetime of purpose and values. It's really what you do
I
after.
mean, it's about, at the end of the day, is it real transformation, right? Whether it's dramatic or whether it's slow, the real reason why you want to change. And if you change it using the things that is aligned to who you are, I think that's real. Because to change something, let's say I want to have something that I don't want, right? It's real change for me. It's dramatic change for me, but it's not something I want, then it's not real for me. It's something that, hey, I can't wait to get rid of it. If it's not something that you can do sustainably, then in my mind, I think it's not real.
Yeah, I agree. I think you added some valuable stuff to you were feeling a little remorse about attacking somebody's idea versus enhancing it. I do think you actually enhanced it as well. I was just trying to give you a little bit of it's okay because I actually appreciated the conversation. I think I learned something from it. So that's the point of all this, right? In terms of part two for the day for Marie Kondo's book, because it did make me think. Obviously, I wouldn't write multiple part reflections if this wasn't something that piqued my interest. So this one is about tidying your values, right? Obviously this journey is very much aligned about values, purpose, and overcoming loss, and a lot of those main kind of themes in general. So for me, when I was going through this book with her, she asked this question. This is like her famous question. I think she wrote another book about it called "Does This Spark Joy?" It was something that really stuck to me as I was doing my own 20 minutes of Swedish death cleaning every day kind of thing when I was going through an item. And your rational brain, a lot of times when you let that take over, it screws things up, right? Like I was, I gave this example in this reflection about I have these two sleds down in my basement that my wife and I bought maybe 15 years ago. I feel like it was a really big snowstorm that happened one day, and we have this park down the street that has a pretty decent sized hill, and everybody was running down our street. It was a really heavy snow, and everybody was running down our street. And my wife and I we were like, oh crap, we don't have any sleds for some reason. We had just moved into this house, and I don't know, maybe we threw away our old sleds, and we're like, shit, we don't have any sleds. So we went to the store, and all the sleds are sold out, and we're like, crap, we want a sled. So we ended up, after that, I think it was maybe holiday season or something like that, whenever the snow died down again and it wasn't peak time to go sledding, we bought a couple of sleds to make sure that we always had in our basement. And they've sat there. I don't think we've ever used them it's been 10, 15 years later. All I do is I've seen them more times than ever, and I've had to just move it around in a certain area to get to other shit. When I use my rational brain, I go, well, do I get rid of those? I guess maybe the next time there's a snowstorm, we're going to need something here. Or maybe now that we have children, I'm sure they're going to want to go play. Why would I want to throw away sleds? My rational brain will justify this of why it deserves to sit in my basement for however the hell long, taking up space for no reason, right? Versus the question of, does it spark joy? It's more about your feelings. Does this bring any excitement to you? Was there ever a time when you remember hanging out with your friends and that's why you bought this on a vacation or something like that? Spark joy when you see it, or does it not? And if it doesn't, then it goes in the trash, or you donate it to somebody, or you get rid of it, right? Those sleds do not spark joy for me. They need to go. They are just more clutter, and there's no reason for letting my rational brain decide to hang on to something that I can just go buy more sleds. Like if I ever want a sled again, I can just go buy a sled. They're like $5. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal. Or we can use our trash can lid or something like that. Or I can just shove my son down the hill, and let him roll down, like I'm sure we'll have just as much fun as well. Or we just go follow all the other people that are running up and down the hill with their sleds on their single-use sleds and say, hey, can we borrow this for like an hour and then give it back? There's a million other things that I could have done with these sleds than does the spark joy question. So like this idea of does it spark joy made me start to think about values and kind of tidying your values a little bit. This goes back to when you use your rational brain. We talk about this all the time. When you're picking your values, you can easily let the culture around you dictate what those values are. And you're like, well, I work in like technology sales, and the tech bro culture is real. Like if you're just observing all the values of everybody living around you and you're acquiring all these values all the time and you're applying them and you're leveraging them or you're not, like eventually they just become a part of you. Whatever you let into your life and whatever values you let into your home, I guess, of your own internal side of everything, like it will become a part of you, whether you want to or not. And sometimes these are things that do not spark joy with the values that you bring in your life. We talk about this a lot with the grit and grind culture, or the I don't know, name another thing that you hate about other cultures. But these are things that if you want to survive in these cultures, you kind of got to just take the values in, and they're like those sleds or whatever that sit in your basement. You're like, well, I mean, I gotta have equality. I gotta care about equality because like this is the culture that I'm in and this is the job that they tell me to care about it. So eventually you convince yourself that like this is something that matters to you. But like what I'm encouraging to do is to maybe tidy your values a little bit, right? Take a look at all the clutter of values that's built up in your mind that you acquired from all over the place, and take a look at them and say like, does this spark joy? Does eating the frog spark joy for you? Does learning every day spark joy for you? Does challenging yourself every day spark joy for you? Does grit spark joy for you? Does, whatever else, balance, does that spark joy for you? If they don't, then throw them the fuck away. Like get rid of them, get them out of your life, and go figure out, what does spark joy, and figure out how you can declutter your values, I guess, a little bit, and start from the things that are really the most important things. So that was my reflection from Marie Kondo's book. Reflection 2 was tidying your values, right? So get rid of your rational mind and the values you acquire with your rational mind, and ask the question, does your value spark joy, and start there.
Well, I'm glad it's not yeah. So I think for me, what she said, right, with the question, does it spark joy? I mean, I can get behind this. When I was guiding Amber through her core values quest, one of the things that I told her was, you're going to have to explore yourself, what core value means, aligning with you or not. And the thing is, you don't know. You don't know until you try. And so my tip for her is just pick a value that you think, right? Or maybe other people would suggest, or maybe say, hey, this is a good core value. Try it, and then try it to do the core values and build the activities based on those core values for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and see how you feel. If you feel positive for it, then you keep it. If it doesn't, you exit and you pick on another one. And to me, this aligns with the does it spark joy question, because the core values align to you will have a positive emotional feedback. When you and I talk on this podcast, when we get together, we talk about anything. It doesn't matter. We can talk about dirt and we have fun. And so it sparks joy because this aligns with us. But you go and you find somebody, and we talked about life and atomic bombs and whatever, they probably get bored to death. And that's what I'm saying is, individually, if something aligns with you, it's going to respond in a positive emotional feedback. And to me,
your elephant will respond, right? Your elephant just comes out.
It understands that they only understands actions, and the action give them and say, hey, it's a positive reinforcement or it's negative reinforcement.
Right.
And having the ability to use this spark joy as the needle to indicate whether or not something is aligning or it doesn't align. And if it doesn't align, right, then you need to cross it out.
Around in your attic.
You have to declutter to leave room for what is most important, most aligned with you. Because if you keep a lot of stuff, they mask the value of the core values that you truly aligns to, because it diminishes its exposure. We're being completely distracted by the bunch of other things. We're not focused on whatever is truly important. One thing, right? But if you have some other thing, if you put 80% on the focus, you still lost 20% to the other distractions. But and to me, having these questions is really, I think it's really like the key indicator for you to say, are you on the right track? When you're on the right track, you feel it's right. Just like we're talking about the footprints of the alignments, right? Are you on the right track? You don't know where it's going to take you, but from the positive feedback, hey, it's getting closer. Like you play Marco Polo or whatever. It's like, are you hot or cold? Because you're hot when you move in that direction. You see it, you get hey, it's a cold, and you say, well, that's the direction. Let me try something new. And so having that is like your compass needle. And I think like I said, the questions, does it spark joy? I think is a great question. I love it.
Marie Kondo now.
Misjudge her based on some of the words she said. Maybe I didn't see all the context. Without context, it means nothing, because people can misconstrue the understanding and the meaning of whatever we do or whatever we say. Because I say do this, but if you cut me off before, but only if you are in this situation, this scenario, whatever, then basically you took my word out of context as well. So like I said, I may have jumped the gun yesterday, and I did say, based on what I know now, right? I did not read her book, so I can't really be completely 100% sure that she is going to have this kind of philosophy, whether or not you're talking about you have to have a dramatic change to have a lasting impact. And to me, that just goes against the core values and the grains that I know and that ingrained into my brain, right? And so it becomes like invasions of your spheres of trust and belief, And so
Right.
maybe because of that, I have become more erratic than I need to be.
Yeah, I think you're being too hard on yourself. I think you actually had a really good point. I mean, you're going off of all this stuff off of the only context that I give you, right? Like, and that's all you can judge it off of.
I understood that you're being facetious after you kind of go through the story. My emotions is all arrived up in the beginning, even though you reverse yourself and say, hey, I just being trying to be fancy. But that doesn't diminish the emotions I have. What you're saying is completely opposite of how I feel. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
The right order matters.
I was going to say the book Made to Stick, burying the lead, right? I intentionally buried the lead on this one, on that last reflection, just because it was supposed to be a joke, and I was making it read.
The guy like me, right? I'm this beaver, right? I'm thinking is I'm more of a hedgehog than a fox. So, so I'm like 80% hedgehog and 20% fox. So you basically take the 80%, right? And you flip it. You say no.
I've come to know that you love the titles of these things because this is the lead, tie to your values, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I want to hear what he means by that. But this is the lead, and this is the concept that you're going to take away from this and remember, like, oh yeah, tie to your values, you know what I mean? And to be fair, I think that's how most humans would learn, right?
Well, that's my personality. I'm very methodical, right? First, second.
Yeah, you don't want to play around.
So the thing is, if you give me a list and it's not in the right order, it's like, it grinds your gear, right? And so not the right order. Grinds my gear, yes. Grinds my gear. The thing is, I'm that person. I'm methodical. And some other people are more creative and they'd be fine with it and they'd be say, oh, that's a surprise, right? To them, a surprise is a joy. For me, a surprise is it's a negative feeling.
Right. Clearly.
For me, it's like I don't know why. I have to have some kind of like a sense of control. Because let's say if I do something, let's say I'm going to go talk to somebody, right? I envision in my head the different scenario and that's just automatically, it's not forced. It automatically, even the tiniest and the smallest thing, I see in my head, I simulate them, right? So basically I have a sense of control. And when something's out of control, it becomes a bug. In the programming language, it's a bug, right? Bugs is what developers don't like because it's hey, there's a flaw in your logic, and that creates the negative emotion. So I was conditioned for negative emotion when it's a surprise. So other people may love the surprise because it's like a joke, right? When you have a punchline, right? It's you didn't expect it, so it refreshes your mind a little bit.
Ever seen The Sixth Sense before?
I don't love it.
I've spent the whole movie thinking it was this, and then it was that.
But like I said, I'm 80% hedgehog, and whether I want to or not, that's who I am. I have to accept it because this is reality. Right? Not everybody can be a lion. Not everybody can be a princess. Not everybody can be the billionaires. One other thing you have to understand is you can only be your best self. You cannot be someone else. Regardless how hard you try, how much effort you put in, you can't even be better than the least of the lion if you're not the lion.
For sure. I mean, that's what this reflection is kind of about. It's like if you have a bunch of shit that you're trying to acquire in your life, like the hustle culture, right? Or God, what else? Like there's a million things you see on social media all day long. The cultures that you're around all day long, like there's clear ways that people do stuff that matters to them or that matters to a collective group of people. And you could easily just acquire all these little things and just have them sitting in the back of your truck the whole entire damn time. But the point of clutter is you can't find what you need, right?
You won't use any of them.
Right.
Because he can't find, when you need a wrench, it's like, fuck, where's a wrench among these thousands and thousands of tools piled up on top?
My wife's closet has more clothes in it than I can honestly ever even imagine ever owning in my entire life. I actually look at that and I go, there's more shoes, bags, and clothes everywhere where I'm like, how do you fucking know what any of this stuff is? What is valuable in here to you or not? Like, it can't all be valuable because you're one human being and there's no way you could mix and match a different outfit out of your closet probably for 365 days of the year and not wear the same thing again. And I'm like, how do you know what you want into this closet? Like, I mean, what?
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
She doesn't.
this is shit that drives me nuts, because it's like that was what my attic looked like back there, where I was like, I don't even know what the fuck we're storing in here. And then we just go in there and we throw more shit in there, and you're like, is there anything ever going to come out of this fucking attic? Is there anything do we ever go in there to get something out of there? No, we only go in there to throw more shit in there. And you're like, well, I don't even know what's in here anymore. Like, I mean, how am I supposed to use any of this shit, you know? And like, that's like, values are very similar. Like, if you took a list of all the values and things that you're inundated with on a course of any given day of what somebody thinks is important or somebody doesn't think is important, like it's no different than an attic full of shit. You can just keep throwing more stuff in there, but you will never figure out what actually is valuable in there for you to go use when you want to go use it.
Having too many things that not align with you is a hindrance.
Not even just a hindrance, it's like a stopper. You're frozen. You just look into the attic and you go, I don't even know where to start to clean this fucking thing up. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's useless, because if you have 1,000 of tools in the back of your truck bed, right? And when you need a certain tool, it would take you way more time to go and find a needle in a haystack, trying to find the tool. By the time you find the tool, it's like you might as well just buy something new or just replace something, right? It makes, and then you carry a bunch of tools in the back of the truck, and the truck is, weights it down and become, less efficient and all that. So it translates completely to core values. You have to pick the core value that matters to you most and spend your effort on it and your focus on it, and not having to be distracted by thousands of other ones, because otherwise none of your aligned values is going to surface.
Yeah, the funny thing is
we need to go somewhere,
to go in there.
she doesn't know what to wear.
I know, because
I go to my closet. Boom,
there's 3 shirts, like you're like, oh, well, I'll wear this shirt until it gets worn the fuck out, and then I'll go try to find the exact same one until I find that next one that I really like, and I'll just ride that one out. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't have decision fatigue when it comes to clothing, and the thing is not that we are completely immune to this. I'm aware of the clothing, but I'm not aware of the other stuff, electronics, gadgets, and like USBs or whatever. I have like USBs through. Yeah, books.
I mean, like, honestly, like the whole like idea of a book collection is stupid. This is the anti-library, right? Who cares about the books you've already read? They just sit there and gather dust. Give them away to somebody and say, hey, I found value out of this. Maybe keep your top 5 or your top 10 or 15, the ones that you like. When I look at the Black Swan sitting on my shelf, it sparks joy. Like,
pick it up. There's a spark joy, right? And, I love that question. There's a spark joy, and if it does, then keep it. If it's like, I mean, the thing is, does it truly spark joy? I mean, the thing is, you can have other things that are not negative, but it's not 100% positive. Maybe like 7%. You got what you wanted, right? It's not completely the right fit, right? Just like I told you about any machine, right? It takes quarter. You can put a nickel in it, right? It's not it's not made for it. Then you shouldn't be using the nickels and the dimes, right? Use the right one. And so you have to. And I know it's hard, right? But eventually, once you get to the point where you understand the value of having good values, good core values, then getting to the point where you've determined the right, perfect core values, like the quarters analogy that I'm talking about, you'll be able to judge, right, at that point. But right now, in the beginning, just do what I say. Just
pick to wear until you find one that really fits you, and then buy more of that. And then throw the rest of them away or give them away, like, and say, hey, I've heard grit. Some people like grit. Here you go. Like I hear some people like hustle culture. Here you go. Like it does not spark any joy. I'm done with this metaphorical t-shirt or whatever. You know what I mean? What did go into that attic? Actually, ironically, it's starting to fill up a little bit again. Not nearly as bad. I'm keeping my eye on it. A few of Luca's toys and things like that are going up into there. Maybe I'll do that once a year or something like that. But
I mean, they call it the spring cleaning for a reason.
Yeah, it's true. It is almost springtime. It's about that time. You should do a spring cleaning of your values. You should take inventory every year around, like, what's some new shit that I've acquired? Like, does this actually stick? Well, actually, I've showed you this a million times, but I have my under consideration list, like, I'm testing them out. You know what I mean? Like, clean set every day. I actually do find a lot of value out of that. First things first, but I don't know that belongs on the list yet. I mean, for sure. Like, I don't run for trains, whatever.
That one for me, definitely. To me, that one, I live it. I have no reservation in terms of meeting somebody's agenda to say, hey, you have to show up at a certain time. If I can, I will. If I won't, then say, hey, sorry, I can't make it. You can wait, and you can cancel, you can postpone, whatever you want. I have no remorse when it comes to that. So I am 100% immersed in the I don't run for training core values, and
There you
I'm
go.
loving it. To me, it aligns perfect like a quarter in the machines or whatever that is
Right.
designed for the quarters.
And for me, it's one of those things where, I mean, if I'm being honest with myself, like I run for a lot of trains and I kind of like running for trains sometimes, like, and I don't want to run for trains. Like, let's be honest, but like I do sometimes. And this goes back to like grit. I don't want to not be gritty, you know what I mean? But it also isn't like what I want to be either all the time. This isn't something I wake up every day and want to go. And so like I'm really torn on that I don't run for trains kind of conversation, because like I don't want to wake up and say, I want to run for trains today. But sometimes I actually really like running for trains, And I'm like, oh man, I get to do it.
I don't have that conflict. For
Right.
me, it's like 100%. I don't wait.
Right. Well, so it's
I'll
right
catch
now
the
it's
next
just
one.
right now it's in my metaphorical closet. It doesn't get pulled out very often, but when I look at it, I'm not ready to say that it doesn't spark joy, but sometimes it does not spark joy for me, because I'm like, shit, I'm running for trains again. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And it makes me feel bad. And I'm like,
That's the
core
thing.
values.
Whenever I run for trains, I always feel bad. So 100%, I have never had a good experience in running for trains. You're running for train again?
No, I'm not. Somebody just never mind. It's like one of my employees. I'm technically at work, so like, I mean, technically, I should be, available for them right now. Yeah. Back on the train of thought. I feel like we've, talked about this one a decent amount now. I feel like we're on the same page.
I think this is an important concept to understand, and I think it's simple enough for people to understand without having to delve too much into it. You should always take these questions to heart and ask as often as you need to understand while you're exploring your core values, what the needle is pointing to.
I agree. I'm glad we've revived your faith in Marie Kondo.
And maybe I feel like I took her stuff out of context, and maybe you set me up.
That's my fault. Yeah.
I mean, because I didn't read the book, and your interpretation and I don't want to do the thing that is against my core values, because that's one of my core values is that I need to do the research myself. Even when I was riled out, I did say, look, I'm only responding to this in this manner because of the information I have at this moment. And whatever I say could completely change just because I need to go and understand and process it myself without having to rely on a source. Right. And even though you are a trusted source, I don't have any kind of doubts. But at the same time, I have to live my core values. And the thing is, my core values is my core value, because regardless of anyone tells me, I feel remorse because I have that gene.
Right. Yeah.
It's just automatically gonna come up and make me process it without having to. And then somebody say, hey, by the way, did you being this? Nobody had to remind me of it.
Right.
The core value, because of the core value itself, it reminds me itself. It say, hey, look, your core value is this, right? And I don't think you're behaving consistent with that core value. So, should you change? You're not. So here I am. I say, look, maybe I was out of contact.
The question we can leave with everyone is, are your values sparking joy in your life? So sit down and think about it. And if they're not, then throw them out.
Throw them out and get the right one.
Keep trying some stuff on until you like it, and then go from there. So thanks for joining, everyone, and we will see you all tomorrow.
See you.